Okay, so welcome to day two. If you've made it this far, not everyone does, so well done. Day two is all about calculations, but also about experimental procedures and linking those to the calculations that we do. So this is a deliberately slightly more challenging idea where we've got to follow through. Now, it's really hard if you get a load of information like that and you have to keep going back to it to work out what's going on. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to turn that information into a flow chart. You don't need to do this every time, but when you've got a 7 mark calculation, I highly recommend this. So we're just trying to visualize where the numbers go and what they relate to, because there's a lot of different numbers happening in this calculation, and there's equations as well, and they're all linked together. So we've got our sample of limestone and we're trying to work out the calcium carbonate. So over here is an equation that links calcium carbonate reacting with HCl. So the idea is that the limestone is not 100% calcium carbonate, otherwise I would just know what was going on. Over here I've got the mass of the limestone. So I've weighed out 1.73 grams of mostly or like a large amount of CaCO3, but not 100%. And then what have we done? So we've mixed that with some acid in a beaker. I'm assuming a beaker, it doesn't actually say. 50 centimeter cubed of 1 mole per dm cubed. So let's write that down. 1.0 mole per dm cubed HCl. So that's in the first equation we're given. And then when the reaction was complete. So the idea here is that calcium carbonate is a solid which does not dissolve in water. So you can't just dissolve it and titrate it with acid. So what we've done here is we've added an excess of hydrochloric acid. And then what's left, therefore, is just hydrochloric acid. Like there's some salt, calcium chloride, and everything else, but whatever's left in the volumetric flask, which is now 250 centimeter cubed, that is HCl. And then, of course, when we make up a big volume like that, it's not with the idea of titrating all of it. We're going to take out a sample. Often we take out 25, but this time we're taking 10. So I'm going to write that down in my diagram. So taking a few seconds to do this is going to stop you making a whole load of mistakes later on. 10 centimeter cubes gone in, and then I'm going to titrate it. So what is in the burette? The burette is 0.05 mole per dm cubed. Sodium hydroxide. And the last number that we need is the titer, so that's the volume of sodium hydroxide out of the burette, 16.95 centimeter cubed. Okay, so now that looks a lot friendlier than all of that paragraph, and I don't have to search now, and I'm not going to start getting my numbers wrong because I know that that mass relates to the thing with calcium carbonate. I know that that volume and concentration is the HCl. I know how big the volumetric flask is compared to the titration and so on. Let's just answer the non-big question, like, the little 1 markers first. So how they know the reaction is complete. The idea here is that all the calcium carbonate gets used up and the acid is in excess. And we've got a balanced equation anyway. So always look at an equation because what they're looking for is you matching what's happening in the equation with the observations. But right now, anyway, especially if you're in year 13, you should know that carbonates bubble. So an easy way is if it stops fizzing or bubbling. Now, in the allow column, in the sort of you could get away with this, you could say all the solid disappears. Don't say the solid dissolves, because the whole point of this is calcium carbonate does not dissolve. And so it's better to say disappears. Now, the reason I might not quite agree with saying all the solid disappears is because limestone is a mixture. That's the whole point of us not knowing. It's not a pure substance. So I don't know 100% if everything else that's in limestone is actually going to react with the acid or dissolve or whatever. There might be something else in there that just doesn't do anything. There might be some bits of solid left. But if it's not bubbling anymore, then the carbonate is finished. So please, please, please always link carbonate and acid with bubbling or fizzing or effervescence. Apparatus, we're going to need a pipette. Okay, we cannot be using a measuring cylinder. It says 10.0. You're not going to get that accurate with a measuring cylinder. I would potentially allow a burette, but really, we're not sort of measuring liquid out. Like, we're not saying I'm going to start here and see how much it takes. We are taking an exact amount each time. So when you see 10.0, 25.0, that tells you it's a pipette. If you want to be super accurate or super specific, I should say, it's a volumetric pipette, i.e. it's one of those big long glass ones. It's not a squeezy dropping pipette. Okay, and then we got the burette reading. Another reason you probably wouldn't get a mark for burette in this question is it mentions it below. So plus or minus 0.05. Each burette reading is a clue. We're leaving that there for you to tell you that we use the burette twice, right? We always have to read an initial and a final reading. So there are 2 lots of that uncertainty. Other things that we often read twice are balances. So when we're weighing something out, and also thermometers if we're doing a change in temperature. So we do 0.05, which is the uncertainty, over the actual value, 16.95 that we're recording, times 100 to make it a percentage. And we're going to end up with a very small number, 0.59%. I've just left that as 2 decimal places. So it's 0.58997. If you put all of those decimal places in, it's okay. It's only 1 mark. You wouldn't be penalised, but it does look a bit silly to, in an uncertainty question, to be putting such a high degree of significant figures in your answer. Okay, let's get to the calculation question. So I'll change my pen color so that we can see what's going on a bit better, hopefully. Right, we have all this information. The mass went into the acid left over. So I'm going to put here left over after the reaction in the first equation. And then we took out 10, we titrated it, and we've got our moles of NaOH. For this sort of question, work from the end result. So this bit here is the answer. Like, we don't know anything about the 1.73 grams until we have worked with the data at the end of the question. So start at the end, work out what we can work out. We can most definitely work out moles of NaOH. As you're working it out, don't just write moles equals. I'm going to use N to represent moles. We're going to write NaOH, so I know what I'm doing the moles of. It's 16.95, but that's centimetre cubed over 1,000. You might be happy doing that in your head, but I'm just being nice and explicit. So that is just volume in decimetre cubed times concentration. And that's going to get me 8.475 times 10 to the minus 4. You could round it up. I'm just going to leave it and in my calculator because I'm going to use each answer the next time I do something. So I might as well leave it as it is. So sodium hydroxide, that's moles in that burette. And that reacted with 10 centimeters, and this is HCl. So let's just check the equation. Don't make assumptions. In the equation, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. So the next thing I'm doing is transferring my information to how much acid do I have. So it's the same, the moles of HCl in 10 centimeter cubed equals also 8.475. So far, by the way, we're only 1 mark in, moles of NaOH. But we're now going to get a mark for converting back to how many moles of HCl are in 250. So we're not timesing it by 10, which is often is the step if you've been doing lots of practice. This time we're going to take that and we're going to times it by 25 because it's 25 times more. So that is going to get me 0.0 2, 1, 2. So far we've had a mark for working out moles of NaOH and would have a mark for working out the moles in 250 because you don't really get a mark for that one-to-one step. Okay, now that is the leftover acid. So let's have a look at where that came from. It was left over after the acid here in the beaker reacted. So let's work out how many moles of HCl at the start, or initial, or however you want to say it, before reacting. That's a nice easy one. 50 over 1,000 times 1. 0.05. Probably won't get a mark for that, but you will get a mark for the next bit, which is finding the difference. So the moles of HCl that reacted between adding the between the original amount, 0.05, and adding the carbonate. After we added the carbonate, the titration told me that I had 0.0212 left. So it's going to be 0.05 minus 0.212, which is 0.0288. There's another mark. Okay, that's acid. This is still HCl. So we're here right now, okay? We have tracked back to the point at which we added the carbonate and the acid together. And we have worked out from the difference between what we added to the carbonate and what we found out was left by doing the titration, that there are 0.0288 moles left after it reacted with the carbonate. Oh, sorry, there are 0.0288 moles that did react. So that number, the 0.0288, corresponds, let's just go up to the equation where it goes, to the HCl that is here. So 0.0288 is that number. That's what got used up. The ratio is not 1:1, it's 1:2 now. So I want to know how many moles of calcium carbonate there are. So I'm going to take that number and divide it by 2. So the moles of CaCO3 in my sample, in the whole sample, is 0.0288 divided by 2, 0.0144. Another mark. Okay, so that's a 2:1 ratio, so we get a mark for that. All right, we are nearly there. Now that we have moles, it is so nice and easy, okay? Because now it is just using MR to find the mass and doing that as a percentage. So MR, take your time. The MR of calcium carbonate is 100.1. Write it down somewhere, because the whole idea of this is that even if you are getting some stuff wrong earlier on, these last parts should be quite simple. Like once you've decided you've got a moles, you can easily go to your periodic table and find that MR. Please make sure it's an A-level periodic table, right? So it is 100.1. Then we're just going to multiply those two together, right? 0.0144 times 100.1. My mass is 1.44 grams. At this point, I'd probably want to do a sense check. Does that make sense? Absolutely, it does. Like it's less than 1.73, which is 100%, it has to be. And also it's quite close because like limestone is mostly calcium carbonate. So I'm not expecting it to be a tiny number, like if I got a decimal place wrong. And then we just do the mass that we've got, 1.44 over the mass of the whole sample, 1.73 times by 100. And we get 83.3%, and I've just left that to 3 sig figs, which is suitable because that's the minimum number of significant figures in all my values. If you had rounded it to 83%, that's absolutely fine as well. So there are lots of working marks here. So even if you make small mistakes, you should definitely be capable of doing things like going to your titration, volume and concentration and working out moles, and doing things like scaling up into the flask and being able to work out a mass using moles times MR. So there's loads of individual parts of this that are super achievable please don't leave it blank or give up on yourself just because it's a 7-mark question. It's not that.